Welcome to the Invest in Yourself podcast, brought to you by Lewis Real Estate at the Lewis Business Center in West Hartford, Connecticut. I'm your host, Rasul Wallace, and today our guest is Brandon Couloute, also known as B-Boy Electronic, a choreographer, producer, and dancer. He's the producer of Breakdancing Shakespeare at the Hartford Stage, which takes place every summer. How are you today?
Good, Rasul. Good. I appreciate you having me. I'm excited to talk with you here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I gave you a little introduction. If you don't mind telling the audience a little bit about yourself.
Yes, like you mentioned, B-Boy Electronic. For the audience out there who's unfamiliar with the B-Boys and the B-Girls, I'm sure you've seen them. I'm, the head spinners, the back spinners, the back flippers. That's what I do, and I've had the pleasure of being able to train and grow in this art of hip-hop. Yeah. And it's even given me a beautiful career.
Nice.
So that's a little bit about me and what I do.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Can you tell us a little bit about the business aspect of the choreography and dancing? I imagine that it has a very entrepreneurial aspect to it, and that it's a lot of figuring out and piecing things together and, figuring out the income and the outflow of income and expenses. So can you just talk to us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I've had the pleasure of doing this for, I think this is my 16th season.
Right.
So, and since then there's been ups, downs, but I think in terms of the financial side of things, I think the biggest challenge or theme perhaps is I think the flow of cash. When you're your own boss, when you're your own entrepreneur, if you don't get up and go to work, you don't get up and go teach. Mm-hmm. There's no paid time off, there's no sick days. These things just don't exist.
Yeah.
So I've really gotten good at really just getting to work.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing is you got to get to work, you got to get to class, you got to get to the next video shoot, whatever it is the opportunities take you. You have to be, I think, extra bearish when it comes to that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think that this is a significant part of understanding it because, especially when you're starting out, the income is very uncertain, inconsistent. So for me, what that looks like is maintaining a very low cost of living. Can you talk about that at all? Like when you started, how lean or what your living situation was like, and then how, you've been able to kind of build a life for yourself to some degree?
Russell, I love that question. I'll be honest, I got super lucky. Yeah. Because I started, like I said, this is my going on 16th season. Yeah. I'm a young cat, so I started off really young. I was like 16, 17 when I started. And I had the pleasure of a studio owner actually right down the street, West Hartford. Yeah. I had my first teaching gig. And they blessed me with a gig. I had 4 classes on a Thursday night. Get this, $8.50 an hour.
Wow.
I was lit. Now that's like
crazy.
That's crazy. But at the time, you're a 16-year-old. It's my first job.
Yeah.
You're teaching dance, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
But
you didn't have many expenses too, so that was not a big.
And that's exactly it. And my whole point is, getting started early. When that overhead is less. Yeah. Because it gives you that space and that bandwidth to just grow. Yeah. Yeah. And I started doing that. $8.50 a class. But as your network grows. Your career grows, you're able to, expand and things like that.
Okay. How long did you teach that class?
Oh, wow. I mean, I taught at that studio until a studio called the Dance Center. Shout out the Dance Center out in West Hartford, right on, I believe, Oak Street. Yeah. By A.C. Peterson there. I taught there till they closed down, maybe for about 4 or 5 years.
Nice.
From like 2009 to 2013, something like that, 2014.
So that's a pretty good start. 4 years of teaching at a dance school, right out the box.
And the other thing is, from that studio, I started teaching in other places, so it's not you can't just be at one place. Yeah. You got to, that was a Thursday night, but I was in, Simsbury on Wednesday. I'm in, over here on a Friday, so it's really like this piecing together your schedule so you could kind of have this almost full-time kind of thing going on.
So you started off at that dance studio, and then little by little you started to get other jobs at other studios to kind of book out your week and be have more consistent income.
Correct, exactly.
All right, and then you did that for how long would you say that was your main focus? And then at what point did you kind of shift into other avenues of income from dance?
Yeah. Roswell, I still think I'm doing a version of that. I feel like it's evolved.
Yeah.
But I'd say the big turning point for me was perhaps maybe when I got involved in video production. So I got into video production really to show off my dancing.
Right.
No,
it makes sense. That's a great way to do it.
It was like, how do I get this? How do I market myself and make myself look good? And it turns out a lot of people liked what I was doing.
Yeah.
So I ended up kind of having the side gig of being a video creator and a director. But then I started to think I could combine these worlds, these dance world and the videography world, So that to me is where I had a big, I think, professional turning point.
Yeah. When was that about?
I'd say about 2013, maybe 2014, maybe like 7 years or so, maybe after I started teaching.
Okay. And then what did that look like as far as changing your income, your standard of living, and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I was hooked up for a minute. You know what I'm saying? Because I not only had the teaching income, but I was doing dance videos, music videos. I was shooting weddings. I was shooting political ads. I was shooting things for other dancers. A whole bunch of stuff. So yeah, that really gave me a lot of just funds and bandwidth to now I could go. Now I'm going to New York to train some more. Now I'm trying to make sure I'm taking class and investing in my art to always bring it back to dance.
Yes, absolutely. Exactly. And now, with that being said, it sounds like that might have been an example of how you invested in yourself. Can you is that? Do you want to elaborate on that, or give another example of an investment that you made in yourself and what the payoff of that was?
Absolutely. I think for me, I'll mention the video again. Just the gear, cameras and things. I feel like I made a lot of money off my camera.
Is that right?
Absolutely. My camera, my drone, But it was also the double-sided thing, because I'm a techie.
Yeah.
I'm B-boy electronic, for a reason.
I like it.
So that was kind of a double-sided thing, because I'd always want the latest gear. And sometimes you don't need the latest gear, But definitely my video tech.
Can you try to monetize or give an idea of what the financial investment might have been into that gear, and what your return on that investment might have been over the years? It doesn't have to be exact, just a rough scope or idea.
I'll give you this idea here. So the camera I had, I was shooting with Sony. I think the camera I had at the time was maybe like 900 or 1100, something like that.
Right. So that's a good camera.
Definitely a solid camera. And I would shoot a wedding, all day at a wedding, maybe for like, I was charging maybe like 1,500.
Oh wow.
18 for a wedding.
Word. So you could make that in like a day.
For sure.
Would you have to spend time editing and things like that?
It's a lot of work. Yeah, editing. A lot of editing. Yeah.
So when you say, how much? So 1,500, right, for a wedding, and you would spend a day at the wedding. How much time would you say you spent editing?
Could be, I had different packages at the time, so it could have been, if they wanted me there all day, I'm capturing, the pre-ceremony, the ceremony, and the reception.
Yeah.
You're talking like 20 hours, like you're talking just a bunch of footage. You're talking just a whole bunch of stuff to sift through. Yeah. So I could have spent maybe a day or two just editing.
Day or two. So you would say a day or two editing, plus the shooting.
Plus the shooting.
Altogether, you would say 20 hours is about how much time you would spend?
Yeah, about a day or two for a wedding, one specific
wedding. And how many weddings do you think you would do in a season?
Oh, yeah. I wasn't even super booked out, but I had maybe like 10 or so, 10 to 15.
Solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a solid business. So you got a great return on investment in that camera.
For sure, for sure.
Okay. So now you still kind of, your business model is you choreograph, dance, produce, but you still also do the videography, and then you combine them, and then you use that to kind of continuously grow your business and make income from the two.
Absolutely.
Okay. Awesome. One example, do you have an idea of what your worst investment was?
Worse than we were joking about this before the show here. I was trying to think here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Rasul, honestly, I feel like it's all been pretty positive. I'm really trying to rack my mind here.
Yeah.
But all I could think about is things I shouldn't have been buying. Like sneakers and things like that. But in terms of I feel like I had a lot of focus. In terms of how I was investing and trying to get the resources back to what I was doing.
Yeah.
So whether that was taking class, whether I was buying more gear.
Yeah.
It was always working out. So I can't think of anything too that I was like, man, I lost all that bread.
Yeah.
Nothing. I did lose my camera because I sold my camera and it got lost in FedEx. Things like that. That was annoying.
Yeah.
Because you're like, that's just a whole piece of equipment gone.
Right.
But nothing crazy.
No, that makes sense. And that question is a bit loaded, if you will, or because like we were talking about earlier, I do believe that everything can be a learning opportunity.
Absolutely.
And you can walk away with the best from it. So that question, it is, I like your answer.
I appreciate
your
it.
answer. How do you stay motivated and disciplined? As an entrepreneur, like you said, you only make money when you get up and go work or you figure out where it's going to come from. So, how do you stay motivated and disciplined?
Honestly, Razul, I just remind myself what I'm on this earth to do every day. I mentioned I started this really early, and I've always been entrepreneurial. I've really only, I've never had maybe what you consider a traditional gig, really ever.
Yeah.
So I just remind myself I've been given these gifts. A lot of gifts. I've been given these talents, the ability not only to dance, to move, to pick up movement, but to share that. To get other people, to get my students confident through movement.
Yeah.
And it's knowing that my students and that the people I'm training with, the people I'm collaborating with, that we're gonna grow. That motivates me. It's the idea that you could take what's in your imagination, and then one day it's up here, and the next there's a whole show of people, of 25 people that you're working with.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. I love the
That's
journey
dope.
from imagination to stage or film or anything like that. That's what really motivates me.
That's awesome. So you just generally love it. You love creating.
You leave me to dance all day, Roswell. I will dance and create all day.
That's what's up.
It's just, I love it.
I love it. What, if any, significant changes or trends in your industry since you started, and how have you adapted to them?
Really good question. TikTok comes to mind.
Okay. All right.
Excuse me. I'm going to sound maybe like a little bit of an old head here, because I'm like a real dancer,
Yeah.
Forget TikTok. But then I started to realize, this isn't about old or new or bad or good. This is just a new medium for people to dance and things like that. But I have seen how it kind of disrupted the market. I noticed my students look for a different kind of movement now that they see online. They're just more exposed to different moves.
Yeah.
And it's this weird thing now where everyone not everyone, but a lot of people are just kind of dancing for fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To me, that wasn't a thing of I'm just going to record myself with my friends doing a dance.
Yeah.
So that's been interesting, navigating and trying to figure out, all right, how do I tap into that? And it's made me rethink about, well, why do I dance? Why do people dance? Why are my students dancing? You know, and I realized, everyone has their own answers.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. Tell us about some of the biggest challenges you faced since you started.
Biggest challenge. Wow. I think, Roswell, one of the biggest challenges is, I mentioned, I get up every day and I'm excited to do this, but, sometimes you do question, because there's so many talented choreographers out there, so many talented dancers, so many talented movers. And sometimes you question yourself and you go, man, can I keep this up? It's been like 15, 14 years. Do I have another 15, 14?
Yeah.
I think, you think in your brain you do, but it's like, does the market even support that?
Yeah.
Are you offering what you think the dance market and the industry wants? So there's a little bit of that, of just this kind of self-doubt, But
That's interesting you say that because I think as an entrepreneur or creator, it's not like when you have a job, right? And there's a structure and a system and a clear path to, I'm going to come here this day, I'm going to work my hours, I'm going to make this money.
yeah,
It's all self-driven.
yeah,
So that internal conversation, I think, is so significant.
absolutely.
And I'm in a group chat with some brothers of mine, and one of them was asking about entrepreneurship. And I think that internal conversation is probably one of the biggest, most significant aspects of it, because you're going to have fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
Right.
And at least from my perspective, you can focus on those fears, that uncertainty, and that doubt, or you can focus on the outcome that you want.
Right.
And I feel like the more, whatever gets more of your attention is going to be the outcome that you make real.
Absolutely.
You've been in it for all this time, and you've expressed that you have doubts and things like that. Is there anything that you do or are intentional about to keep your eye on the outcomes that you want, more so that has been able to keep you kind of in it and loving it and, being productive and fruitful?
Absolutely. What I do is I remind myself, I look at my community. I look at my students I've had all over. I look at my collaborators, people I've been building with and producing with, and I remind myself, well, they see something, of value.
Yeah.
And I know they've gotten something of value,
Yeah.
the information. And I lean on them. I look to them to not to assure myself necessarily directly, but just to, even if it's just a conversation with someone I was collaborating with, just to even sometimes just reminiscing on your past achievements is enough to remind you, oh, I did that before, I could do it again.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, Russell. Most of the things I do is make up dances. It's just. But I'll be honest with you. A lot of times, you think, can I really make up another dance? Like how I made up thousands of dances.
That's so funny.
I always think. You ever see that Tyrese meme where he's like, "What more do you want from me?" Sometimes I feel like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you just remind yourself, like, I did it before. And not only can I do it again, I know I'm getting better.
Yeah.
Just because over time, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't help but get better.
For sure. I hear you. I like that. I appreciate that. So with that being said, you kind of alluded to the next question a little bit in the previous answer. How conscious are you about intentionally creating your environment, and in what ways you do that? And then you express that in what you do day in and day out, you're with other dancers and choreographers and people that are perfecting their art.
Right. And to add on that, is what I've noticed as I've from going from performer to someone who's producing performances, I've noticed the environment is key. Like, for example, for my rehearsals, I like to have snacks.
Yeah.
For dancers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just anything that's gonna make. I know if my dancers are comfortable, the job's just gonna get done better.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's gonna be happier.
That makes sense though.
You know, so in terms of environment, whether I'm on a set, whatever I'm kind of overseeing, I try my best to make sure everyone's comfortable, everyone has what they need, no one's gonna pass out, people got water.
No, I like that. That makes sense. That makes sense. So in this sense, you're saying that whenever you're in a creative environment,
right,
you make that environment as comfortable for whoever's you're collaborating with, because that will yield the best results. You get the best out of them.
Absolutely.
From that. Okay. I like that. Best practices, principles to live by that you would say you embody or have contributed to your success.
You know, what's coming to mind is this concept of Occam's razor. Are you familiar?
No.
Occam's razor is just a philosophy that says the simplest answer is probably the right one. You know, and I try and live by that. I try not to, of course I fall victim to it, but I try not to overthink. I try and just think about what's the most direct path to my success, you know, and just really clear out the noise on the outside, you know, and just go right for it.
I love that.
Because
it is easy to get caught up in analysis paralysis. I think I read this thing recently that said that knowledge or information isn't rewarded. Action is rewarded. And what I take from that in my experience is that I know some very brilliant people that haven't been able to kind of create the things or the ideas that they've thought of doing. And I know some people that might not be recognized as brilliant or intelligent, but they just act. They take one step after the other and they just keep moving forward, and then they adjust and they keep moving. And, you know, they tend to, at least from an exterior, outside perspective of success, they've attained that more.
Right.
So I kind of live by that, you know, get started and just improve as you go. That's because you will get locked down in analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
Okay. One piece of advice to an aspiring entrepreneur or business owner.
I think the best advice I could give is just start now, you know, especially if you're, you know, kind of a younger person with, you know, just less things to worry about or less responsibilities. This is the time to, and not find what you want to do, but just do something.
Yeah.
And like how I got from dance to video, like I never thought I'd be shooting weddings in '09, you know what I'm saying? But certain things lead you to the other thing, you know? So I feel like the sooner you start that, the better.
Yes, sir.
So that's my advice, just to start and, take it one move at a time, like you said, you know?
I hear that. Well, Brandon, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it. Can you tell our viewers where they can find you, whether it's in person or on social media, website, any place they can find you?
Absolutely. So, of course, if you're in the Hartford area, you know what I'm saying, you may run into me if you see someone flipping off a wall or flipping around Bushnell Park. It might be me. But, of course, online, you could check me out at brandonthebboy.com.
brandonthebboy.com.
Yep, and I have all info about, you know, the classes I teach, shows I'm producing at any given time, just anything.
Awesome. And before we wrap up, I just have one thought or idea.
Yeah.
I think in today's world, we've gotten really wrapped up in the day-to-day of life. Whereas I think like historically in different societies, tribal, indigenous societies, I think there's a lot more celebrations of life. And I think with that celebration comes dance.
Absolutely.
So in my personal journey, I think one of the things that I've been wanting to do is kind of create like a family dance that we could do at like family gatherings, celebrations, weddings, things like that.
I love that.
and my family is from the Caribbean.
Hey, okay.
We love Afro beats and stuff like that. So what I was thinking was, or what I wanted to ask you was, do you think that you could choreograph something like that if I gave you different elements of, what would be in it? Knowing the history of the culture, maybe some specific songs or types of songs.
Raul, I got you.
All right,
Yeah, for
all right.
sure.
All
I
right.
got you. Any
I love
moves
it.
you need. Yeah,
All right.
yeah, I got
Well,
you.
I don't know the moves. You know what I'm saying? I have some ideas and
Yeah.
concepts that I want to throw in it. But maybe you'll come up with the moves.
I got you.
All right, that's what's up. I love it.
Good business idea.
Yeah.
It is. It is.
Family reunions.
Right.
Can you ask just a little bit just about like you said you grew up in Hartford, right?
Actually, I was born in Hartford, grew up in New Britain.
In New Britain, okay. So
Okay.
just a little bit just about like helping your community, and I know that you worked with the Shakespeare, like hip hop Shakespeare, right? You were part of
Breakdancing Shakespeare, yeah.
breakdancing Shakespeare. Just helping, like I think, just your community or young African American Black children that how does dance help? And like, I had that question. I have one more question. Sorry.
All right.
Gotcha.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
See, I could jump in there. So,
You'd have to ask it, Razul.
oh, gotcha.
The great
Razul.
Razul.
Can you talk a little bit about how how dancing impacts your community, and if any way, shape, or form you are giving back or interacting with the youth?
Absolutely. I feel like dance. I mean, dance is all of our first language as humans. Before we were speaking, before we were doing anything, we were moving, and I just find that especially I teach a lot of kids. You see something just light up, So I love giving that feeling to them, In terms of just giving back beyond teaching, I'd love to volunteer, and sometimes I do, free classes. I'm big on breaking, and honestly, I feel like breaking is kind of a dying art in a way, a little bit.
Yep.
I'd like to think of it like the CrossFit of dance. It's intimidating if if people spin on their back, their head. You're like, it's cool, but I'm not trying to do that.
Yeah.
So I try and offer like free breaking classes for things like that, Boys and Girls Club, and the YMCA, things
That's
like
dope.
that. Just so folks who may not have that leap to go sign up for a class in a studio or something, they're at least exposed to it.
Yeah.
And then hopefully an interest is sparked.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely, dance is all the arts are so just vital to the community.
Yeah.
And I love seeing that, especially in Hartford. Hartford seems to really understand that mission.
Yeah. Awesome.
I do want to
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Like literally, because I just started businesses and it's so much work. It's crazy. At what age did you start again? And how did you do it? Like, you were young, right? Like a late teen?
Yeah, sophomore in high school. Yeah.
Right. So how do you for advice? How do you do that? Did you just start saving? Did you start
I think he started working in the in that studio,
Yeah.
the dance studio that he mentioned.
But then did you just put money away?
How does it keep going?
Who saves money as a little kid? You know what I mean? How did you build? Starting this company, it's like I'm paying money and shit.
I feel you.
It's a lot, and I'm in my 50s.
Yeah.
So a young person, just for young kids that because all this generation, my son who's 12, they all want to start their own companies. They don't want to work for anybody.
Yeah.
So just a little bit about how you did that.
I got you.
Okay.
I totally got
You'd
you.
have to ask, Rob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was my answer.
All right. Can you elaborate a little bit on your start, what the finances of it look like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll be honest, in terms of finances, thankfully for what I do, I just really need my mind and my body.
Yeah.
There's not too much overhead. Of course, you invest in, you go take workshops, you go take classes, you go, marketing yourself, you know what I'm saying? So those are definitely always there.
Yeah.
But I'll say, it's just specifically what I do in the arts. I think what's most important is your time management. And I was trash at that at first.
Yeah.
Because you got people who are like, hey, can you come to teach on Friday? And I'm like, yeah, I'm already booked Friday for a class.
Yeah.
Now you look crazy. You know what I'm saying? And it took me a long time to really, I used to have like scheduling anxiety, you know, just because it was a point where I was getting so many inquiries and not understanding really how to keep track of it all.
Yeah.
You know? So I think once I learned how to manage my time, once I learned, I said, okay, like, I don't want to teach 30 classes a week.
Yeah.
That feels crazy. How can I get a nice 20 that's nice and spread out, you know? So I think that's my biggest advice, especially for the young entrepreneurs, is you're going to need to know how to not only managing your money for sure, but managing your time, you know?
So what I'm hearing from you is that there's not a significant capital investment.
Definitely, for what I do, for
what
correct.
you do. It's the investment is really just of your time.
Absolutely.
And in the beginning, you had a hard time managing that time with the scheduling counter and having that organization. But over time, you were able to kind of recognize where you had gaps or weaknesses and then make some adjustments.
Absolutely. And for what I do, it's key because, you know, you get booked for a workshop, that may never come again. You know, it's not like I'm clocking in tomorrow.
Right.
Like it's just gone. The time has passed.
Yeah.
You know, so you really have to seize those moments, you know.
All right. Well, since we're talking about it, I think it's a good point to get a better understanding because the practical logistics of it, I think, are significant. You know, I know you were living at home. Does this life provide enough for you to be able to live on your own and take care of yourself?
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of being able to be on my own for the last maybe I don't even know, 9 years or so.
Right.
You know, and I'll be honest, Roswell, when I learned I could move out I was like, I'm just dancing. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course it's more than that, but, you know, it was a moment. You know, I'm like, I could do it. Like, we're going to do it. And I did it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And it's a beautiful thing. And now it's just about how do I continue to expand what I do? How do I continue to scale it up, and just keep it growing?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Brandon, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Yes, likewise.
And come back anytime.
Appreciate it. Will do. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, man.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good one.
Excellent.
I'm gonna get different music. His son made this. He's like a jazz pianist.
Oh, cool.
I like it.
I like it.